So the African Fund for Endangered Wildlife, Kenya, or the Giraffe Center, was started way back in 1979 by the late Jock Leslie Melville and his wife, the late Betty. This was to save the endangered Rothschild giraffes from the western part of Kenya, where they happen to be losing their original habitat to farming, and to also save them from becoming extinct. At first, Jock and Betty brought two young giraffes to their property at Langata, and they named the two young giraffes Daisy and Marlon. So Jock and Betty, they came up with an idea to start the African Fund for Endangered Wildlife Kenya and African Fund for Endangered Wildlife USA to fundraise, and with the Kenya Wildlife Service, they were able to move the remaining members of the Rothschild giraffes, by then about 130, to safe places like Lake Nakuru National Park, some to Ruma near Lake Victoria, some to Nasalot, some to Mwea Game Reserves. And by 1984, they brought a few more giraffes to the center to form the breeding nucleus for the population. So we've been breeding the giraffes and translocating most of the young ones and putting them back to the wild after every 2 to 3 years. Jock and Betty, they had a dream to start a nature education center so that they can create awareness amongst the Kenyans, and especially the young ones, the youth in Kenya, how different species can become endangered. And thus, by 1984, again, they opened this center to the general public, and during the first year, they were able to receive about 800 students who came in free to learn about the giraffes, to interact with them by feeding them. Up to today, school groups come in for free of charge. We don't charge them so long as they have booked between Monday to Friday. And in a year, we receive more than 50,000 students who come in for free. They learn about giraffe, they learn about general conservation in the country, and they get a chance to come up close with the giraffes and feed them, to interact with them, and to watch a nature movie. We also run the ecology trip programs, which is actually targeted, or which targets the poor children from the slums of Nairobi. Main challenges, especially to do with the breeding programs, is I'll pick one. I think some cases of diseases. Giraffes have not been studied much, and with time, it has been really a challenge to manage their diseases. Sometimes we've lost a few giraffes one after the other, and even by taking the samples to the labs, the best labs even in this country, we have not been able to get very conclusive results. Now, during these hard times, like during the pandemic, really it has been a challenge because we are not getting many people visiting our country and also visiting the giraffe center. So that means our income levels are quite minimal, and that might pose a challenge into the future. Also, in terms of the government regulations, remember, giraffe center just hosts the giraffes as a custodian, but remember, the government through the Kenya Wildlife Service have the main say when it comes to conservation of all wildlife, whether within the protected areas in our country or outside protected areas like sanctuaries and conservancies like the giraffes. Even when it comes to the diseases, we don't have a resident vet officer, but we have to rely on the Kenya Wildlife Service. So if they are also stretched, if their officers are away from the main headquarters, then it might take time before they can be able to quickly respond to the giraffe cases being reported to them. But and even when it comes to translocation, we have to get permission from the Kenya Wildlife Service, and we only facilitate the process by providing the funds which are required for the translocation, because they are the experts. We cannot move them, and we negotiate with them all. Most of the time, we deliberate and agree on the best place where we can be able to get giraffes which will be brought to the center, or we can be able to translocate these giraffes areas where we haven't really introduced many of the Rothschild from the same gene pool. For us, Giraffe Center, we pride ourselves for having saved these species from Western Kenya from becoming and probably extinct. From the year 2017, we started undertaking Rothschild giraffe population surveys. Actually, currently we have completed the third one. We started the first one at Moya Game Reserve and Ruma almost at the same time, and when we finished with the Moya and Ruma in 2019, we were able to move to Lake Nakuru, and we finished and submitted the report for those surveys, or the last survey, early in 2020. So, and from the numbers which are getting, I think they are quite promising. Our contribution again to coming up with a giraffe conservation strategy for our country, Kenya, which will guide future conservation of not only the Rothschild giraffe but all the 3 types of giraffes which are found in the country. So there's still a future for this giraffe.